Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another creative episode. Thank you all for joining me. Thank you for being with me. Happy New Year to everybody. Can you still say that? I don't know. Thank you again for joining me, and I hope you have had an absolute brilliant holiday break. In today's episode, I'm going to talk about a new medium that I'm going to be incorporating into my daily practice, and that is gouache. Now, I don't know how you say it. Is it gouache, gouache? I've been corrected so many times. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. What's the reason behind me going to now incorporating gouache into my practice? First and foremost, it really is all about speed of creating a sketch. I will always be an oil painting girl. I'll always have oil painting as my primary focus. What I do want to do is, as I'm going more outdoors, I want to be able to capture a scene very quickly. And oil paint, whilst I am absolute convert and I've been using it for the last 20 years, I find that there's too many things I need to bring with me. And sometimes I just don't want to plan and I don't want to put so much thought into it that I basically tell myself not to go somewhere. That's the primary reason. Now, why did I go with gouache? For me personally, it behaves like oil. Yes, you've heard it right. It behaves like oil. So how does gouache behave like oil? The difference that I have found between watercolor and gouache is that with gouache, you can re-wet the paper couple of days later and still move the paint around. Also, I tend to find that I can paint just like I would oil painting. So my brain thinks like an oil painter, meaning I can start from darkest dark and then work my way to lightest light. But the beauty about gouache that I really do like is that you can paint both as a watercolor and as an oil painting technique. So this is the whole reason why I decided to go with gouache and incorporate that into my practice. So I want to take you also through the process of what are the materials that I purchased immediately so that I can start that process. Now, I did a lot of research for myself based on what kind of an artist I am, what I like, what I don't like, how will I use the medium before I jumped into purchasing the materials. Full disclosure, these are not sponsored. I've paid for all these materials. So you can either look into these materials if you'd like, or you can certainly do the research yourself. When I was looking to buy these materials, the biggest thing for me at this point, as I'm sure it's for everybody else, it is cost-based. In Canberra, there is an art store. However, I find, and I'm not meaning to diss on them, but I find that they have monopolized the area and they are a little bit more expensive than what I'd like to pay. At the same time, I think the range is lacking, and so I really didn't want to be backed into a corner to purchase one material when I really wanted to buy something else. So then I looked into whether or not to go and order things or to even drive to Sydney. I kind of opted for that. I didn't really feel like a big long drive. And then I thought, well, why not order it online? I found that the same problem became that the cost of materials in Australia, it really is, I mean, I don't even want to go there, but it was just a little bit too expensive. So for the first time, I went into one of the big giant online delivery people. I won't tell you who they are. They start with A. I don't want to advertise for them. But for the first time, I made a big purchase there and I picked up all the materials that I needed. And what I found is that the paint, for example, the gouache paint, which was Winsor & Newton that I purchased, these ones here, they were half the price versus even going on eBay Australia. eBay Australia, these particular Winsor & Newton gouache were double the price, sometimes a little bit more. Again, I think people need to kind of have a look at their competitors before they put a price online. I'm a big researcher, so I just didn't feel like doing that. And I found that this way of buying the materials was a little bit more economical for me, particularly because they were new. It was a new medium, something that I wasn't familiar with, and I just wasn't willing to invest a lot of my finances in something that perhaps wasn't going to work out. So do your research and have a look to see that you're going to find the best material for your budget. Now, let me tell you what I bought straight away and the reason why I went with what I purchased. So we all know, as I said, I've already invested into Winsor & Newton gouache painting set. I went for this one in particular because it had a bigger color range. What I found with gouache, which I really love, I mean, you can get this with oil as well, but what I love with gouache is that you can buy a certain sector of colors in gouache. Like, for example, you can get Australian forest colors. They're called something else, but something like that. You can get a pastel color set. You can get a yellow color gouache set, etc., etc. I decided to go for the more traditional color sets, and then I can mix the colors myself. So this was the first research and purchase that I made. Following that, I thought, well, I don't have a lot of paint brushes for watercolors and for gouache. And I found, again, on my big delivery system online, I found a set of acrylic, and they say you can use it for oil as well. I figured, why not, you know, 2-in-1, because I paint with oils. I wanted to get that. So I purchased a brush set. I'll bring that closer, and you can see there's a variety of different shapes and sizes. I wanted to go with this set again because if the watercolors, the gouache I should say, didn't work out, then I've used synthetic brushes before for oil, and I've used them for delicate work. So I'll always be able to cross-pollinate across my oil painting if the gouache didn't work out. So that's why I bought this particular set, and that's the advertisement or the actual company. Is that close? There we go. Again, that was all online. So it was gouache set, paintbrush set. On top of that, I then went and purchased additional 2 Winsor & Newton white gouache tubes. Now, the reason why I did that is because I use a lot of white, and because gouache, like any other paint set, you use a lot more white than the colors. I just didn't want to be caught out and then having to go and buy additional tubes. So thus the purchase of additional white on top of that set. Last but not least, I then also purchased a small sketchbook. Now, this particular sketchbook, and I hope I can pronounce this correctly, it's called Hannemühl. I think it's German, Hannemühl. You let me know what that pronunciation is, but there's the sketchbook that I purchased. It's an A6 sketchbook. It's quite small. I didn't want to go any bigger because it meant if I went for the biggest sketchbook, I would have had to then use a lot more paint, and you spend a lot more time outdoors attempting to complete an artwork. I particularly went with this brand because it has a really, really good paper quality. It's 200 GSM, and the pages are a little bit rougher, so it will absorb the water quite well. At the same time, it's smooth enough for me that if I just want to do a pencil sketch with a quick wash, then you can do that as well. So that's why I chose this particular book. I also love it purely because you can then create a sketch across the entire booklet, so not just on the first page. And I'll pop these quick sketches that I did in the video too, so you can see how the paint and the booklet behaves. But for example, you know, if you just want to do that first sketch on that page, that's fine. But if you then want to create a larger sketch, either vertical or horizontal, you can do that as well. So either that way or that way. So again, I think this is quite a good investment on these little booklets. Excuse my hair, it's in the growth phase, so it's quite annoying at the moment. But yeah, so these are really good investments for sketching outdoors, purely again for how the actual book or paper behaves. It's not cheap, I must admit. It's not something that you walk away for $10. I don't even want to tell you how much I paid for this small A6. However, it's very much worth it. You've got 60 pages in here. Let me have a look at 60 pages, and that's easy 60 different sketchbooks. So I've got an opportunity to go out 60 times, 60 videos, etc., to create. So for me, that was quite worth it. And again, it really has to do with the quality of the material. So that was really worth it for me. So on top of all of these, really it was 1, 2, 3, 4 items: the brushes, the paint set, the booklet, and the white tubes. That was quite good. I also went into a $2 store and purchased a mixing tray. Again, this was really, really economical. So this is not something that I'd say is a fancy tool, but certainly it helps me mix colors. And there's a set of 5 boards in here. So you don't have to have anything fancy. I know you can get something a lot better that's not white. I found that white, for me personally, can get a little bit complicated in seeing tones because it's in the far end of the spectrum. So when you mix your darkest darks, they tend to look very dark, and your lightest lights tend to look washed out. So it's not ideal for me, but it will do for quick sketches outdoors. I also found this particular tray, which is a flat tray. This was like $2. That could be really, really good for mixing. I might paint this at some point with an acrylic just so that I can get rid of the white. But again, it's a really good tool to take with me when I'm sketching. So all in all, that was my entire purchase, and that whole purchase was approximately 130 Australian dollars. I don't remember the delivery, but putting that aside, the materials for going out sketching was $130. I already had a mist spray bottle that I take with me, so I didn't have to pay for that. This is like a 20-year-old mist bottle, which is really, really good. And obviously a pencil sharpener that you can take with you as well for your pencils. If you haven't seen in my videos already, I received these woodless pencils as a gift, and they're absolutely magnificent. So there's about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in here, and they're brilliant to work with. These are from a brand called Cast. Again, there's the brand up there. I've used their stone paper before, which is my favorite journal book to use. Absolutely brilliant. Love the way that stone paper behaves. And these come from them as well. And again, this was a gift, so I can't include that in the price. But this is my other go-to item that I take with me on a sketch or an outdoor adventure. Last but not least, again, this was another gift as well. It's really just a micropoint archival ink pen, which I absolutely adore, and this comes with me as well. There you go, you can see that up there. So all in all, the simplicity of all of these materials pretty much fits in this box. I'm going to show you this box. You pull it up and everything fits in there. So it's all in the box in terms of paint, brushes, and this little notepad. And these get slotted in on top and put into a backpack. So I wanted to reduce materials and everything that I take with me to one small backpack and a stool attached with me. That's literally my day out. That was the whole idea of looking at this medium and this hair, and the reason that I wanted to now start to work with gouache. Okay, so I did 2 quick sketches using the Winsor & Newton, and also I played around with the medium a couple of days ago, which I think I put into that last video. And these were the quick sketches that I did with the gouache. And that was on the back of that trip at the river in Cotta in Canberra. And this was the other quick sketch, again using gouache. I wanted to see how the chroma behaved and how the pigment behaved. The one mistake that I made, which I didn't realize, I was so eager to start to use them, is that I painted the scene on oil paper. So what I found is that the paper wasn't absorbing the water. I didn't quite clue in until I finished the experiment. But in actual fact, it still worked okay. That was really weird. So yeah, it doesn't really matter, I think, what surface you use the gouache on, as long as the pigment adheres to it, for a sketch that is, don't sell these things. As long as the pigment adheres to it, I think it was a successful outcome. So what are my thoughts around the strength pigment chroma of Winsor & Newton? I think they're brilliant. I mean, for a sketch, for a day out, for capturing the moment, for allowing that scene, the energy of where you are to be imbued within you and then transferred onto your little sketch pad. I absolutely love it. And the other reason too that I purchased the full chroma of colors and not anything in pastels is I wanted to be able to create monochromatic sketches. So only in blue and only in red or only in yellow, or maybe use just two colors and a white. So that was the other reason why I went with those variety of colors and that choice. Now, I've mentioned already why gouache over watercolors. I don't know if watercolors do this, so please let me know. I'm not an aficionado. But one of the reasons why I chose gouache is that you can rehydrate it and then still move and alter the actual brush marks movement that you've made on your paper. I found that amazing. I thought, wow, for someone that likes to move paint around with oil paint and paint wet into wet, I thought this was a brilliant thing and a brilliant quality about gouache. So for example, in the landscape that I did on my last video, I'll repop that in here as well, but I'll give you a small demo. I can rehydrate this landscape, and even though it was from a couple of days ago, it's bone dry, and still be able to rework a section of this landscape without it needing or thinking that it's dry or needing to be wet for that matter. So let me show you what that looks like with this particular landscape. Okay, so here is me zoomed in into a particular area of this landscape. And the reason why I did that is because it's a nice thick contrast between light and dark. So let me get my mist. I'm just going to hold down the paper and I'm going to spray. There we go. And have a look to see how now we can soften and move that gouache around. I think that's amazing, absolutely amazing. I mean, it's brilliant. Let me find you and show you another area on here. There it is, one there. And I want to show you that's dry, okay? I'm not affecting anything. I'm not able to move anything. Now let's add water. And voila. I mean, it's like a little magic trick, really. And now I can change that particular section of the painting. How amazing was that? I mean, I don't know, maybe I'm a novice to using gouache, but seriously, that's it really is like a magic trick. And because I'm used to working with oil paint, used to having to correct sections by moving one tone into the other, wet into wet and so forth, and manipulating shapes and movements and colors and so forth, I found gouache was like, hello, it's a miracle child. So that's the other reason, like I said, why I decided to invest in this medium for my outdoor sketches, outdoor adventures. The thing that I really want to highlight here is that it's important that you understand that sketching outdoors is just that. It's sketching outdoors. For me personally, it isn't about a completed artwork. It isn't about um, uh, finishing something and saying, ta-da, I've done that. There's a higher and deeper reason behind going outdoor sketching. And what I have found personally is I do it in order to shift my inner reality. I know that's deep, and I know that's going to go above some people's heads, and that's okay. But if you really resonate with that, understand that it is truly about shifting and moving in new directions. And the reason why that happens for me when I go outdoors, it's because I put myself in what I feel is the unknown. You don't know what's going to happen, the people that you're going to meet, the weather might change. You might run into some wild animal or not. You might encounter something completely unique. And it is your response to that random, unknown situation that truly gives you a potential of a new reality, a new way of being, a new way of expressing. And when that happens, your artwork also reflects that side of change, that side of new you. So for me personally, it is an all-encompassing experience, and thus why it really isn't a focus on completing an artwork, rather a deep dive exploration of continually moving into a new frequency, into a new mode of expression. So I want to encourage everybody to step outside your comfort zone. I can tell you from first-hand experience that there is nothing to fear out there other than the obstacles that you have set up for yourself. And if this year you have wanted to create, to go and sketch on your own, to start to get your painting feet wet, so to speak, I highly encourage you to do that. The cost of these materials, I know everyone's at a different level, but as I said, the cost of these materials are quite reasonable given the experience that you'll receive. Again, don't go out buying fancy items or multiples of anything. My recommendation is to get a good paint set. Winsor & Newton for me have got a good brand and I've got a good reputation, thus why I went with them. And the choice of colors is, as I explained before, again, choosing something small to paint on, a pochard scale is a good idea. Again, it's for the fact that you don't have to worry about completing it quickly, or you don't have to have come home with this big artwork. This really is for you and you alone, and is for your own personal growth. And I feel wholeheartedly that once you step out there, you'll find that the experience you receive from doing that is far greater than walking away with a completed piece of artwork, although this is also a good bonus. So make this year something special for you. Allow life and allow curiosity, creativity, inspiration to find you. It is all around you. It is a matter of you letting down your guard. As always, I thank you with all my heart for tuning in and for watching my videos. Feel free to ask as many questions, make a statement, let me know how you're going, and always happy to respond to all of your statements. Remember, as always, while you are in this world, you are the light of the world. Shine bright, don't let anyone dim down your light. Until next time, guys. Bye.